All right. Greetings, everyone. We have already done this once today, haven't we? Um, but here we are again. And looks like I got a voice message 18 minutes ago and I didn't even hear my phone ring, so that's kind of curious. Wonder what that's about. Make sure everything's okay. Yeah, looks like everything's fine. Okay. All right. So, we had an interesting day today related to the jury selection for Gannon. And if you look on my channel, you will see where I wasn't able to go live for the morning session, but then I did do the whole afternoon session. We actually, we acted silly and had fun, after the questioning and whatnot was done. But love the judge. Judge is top notch, authoritative, really kind and polite, but firm. And we really, we really like the prosecutors. And I think it's safe to say there were many of us that had we found the defense attorney to be cringy. That's where it started. And that was the best it was, because it went from being cringy, in our opinion, to just being self-serving and I think inappropriately crass. He was just unpleasant, to say the least. And so, it's hard to get, because we all watch Scott Reich, and he's got a great channel and he's a defense attorney. He manages to be professional and not be cringy and weird. And this, I don't know, I don't think this was about defense. I think this was just this guy's personality. Now, one of the things I did say is perhaps he was aware that there were cameras, or not cameras, but there was audio that was being broadcast. And I don't know, maybe it makes people weird to think about tons of people listening to them. And being YouTube famous, I suppose, is is not what everybody's dream is. Although perhaps this particular defense attorney has been watching Peter Tragos and has decided he wants to be the next great Peter Tragos. So maybe he does have aspirations to be YouTube famous. But all that foolishness aside, he was cringy, and he had a few things. I think he was operating from an agenda that went beyond simply, beginning to go through jurors and find a jury for Leticia Stauch's trial. I think the first thing that came to mind. So first of all, prosecution came through. They asked questions of the potential jurors, and you had two very distinct groups, I think, that stood out. And there was that group of people that were clearly educated. Perhaps they had professional positions in their own right, but their answers were far more. Their answers showed depth in general, and a wider general understanding of a criminal court proceeding than maybe most people would have unless they had been through it. The other group of people, they were very soft-spoken. They didn't want any part of this. And some of them even said, "Can I go?" They really were not. They had no wish to be a part of the clown circus. And so there were, there was these two groups that were pretty clear. What really surprised me is that there were many in that first group. The group that said, "I'm intelligent, I'm well educated, I understand the United States Constitution, rule of law, and I recognize that not guilty by reason of insanity is a difficult standard to meet in a court of law, because for all intent and purposes, she is admitting that she did it. The way that Colorado law is, she's saying, yeah, I totally did it, but I was too crazy to know what I was doing when I did it. That's kind of, the standard. So it's not like in the Murdoch case where you're listening to the evidence and then you're having to make a decision, was Alec Murdoch there? Is he the one that killed his family? This is different. She is actually admitting she did do it. So that's kind of interesting. And they did get into an exchange with the attorneys and with the judge. They did have this question, this exchange for, what is the jury really supposed to be doing if this is not guilty by reason of insanity? And the burden is not really so much, did she do it? The burden is, did she know she was doing it? Then what are we do? Like, how's that work? So there were some conversations that were very interesting. And even though it's a bit disjointed and some of the time you can't hear, well, much of the time you cannot hear the potential juror speaking, you can use context clues and the questions and the conversations of the attorneys and judge to sort of get an idea of what you're listening to. So that was interesting. Okay, now then, they did not go in order. They kind of moved about. And I think the prosecution, they went first and started with their questions and whatnot. When they finished, then the judge sort of cleared up some questions that he had, and then it rolled over to the defense. And the defense attorney, well, we didn't like him. He was rude. For example, so number 66 obviously was an older gentleman, and he first time we really heard from him, he describes that he's having short-term memory deficits, that he's older, he's retired, and sometimes he can't remember where he put his keys, and that he just felt like they needed to know that, just in case. And this bozo, this rude and self-important, self-obsessed defense attorney, his answer is not to show respect and say, well, thank you, sir, for letting us know, which is really all that moment required, right? He says, well, let me ask you this. I'm going to talk about this. It's going to make me mad. He said, well, let me ask you this. He said, that woman, we can assume he pointed toward her. I don't know if she's on a camera or if she was actually in the room today, but he obviously pointed. He said, that woman, she deserves a trial by a jury of her peers. And that means 12 people. Her jury, she should not be judged by 11 and a half people. I wanted to kick him in his shin. I wanted to say, do you realize you just told a man, a full-grown, viable, intelligent man, that he's only a half of a person because now he's old and retired? That's literally what you just said, you little poop head. That's what I wanted to say. It was really awful. So following up then after that, I was quite happy with Judge Warner, because he then called out number 66 again. And this time he spoke to him with great respect and deference and kind of smoothed over. So clearly the judge had the same reaction that I did, which was, wow, that was so completely gross and inappropriate. How dare you? Now, so anyway. So that, that gives you an idea what kind of guy this Joker is. And I think he's going to be, I think he is not going to serve Leticia Stauch very well, because I think he's really full of himself. I think it's only my opinion. I don't have, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't read minds, but the impression that I got was he's aware of the audio. He will be aware of the cameras, and he is trying to develop this persona. I think he's trying to put an image of himself that may not be exactly accurate. It's one of the things with like Emily and Peter Tragos, and those, you listen to them and they have a great deal of knowledge and information that you and I don't have, and they just talk about what they know. They're just using like regular people language, and they're just explaining things, and they're not overly impressed with who they are. They're not pushing this image of, you should defer to me because I'm better than you, and you get yourself in trouble, and it's our job to get you out of trouble because we're masters of the universe. You don't get that, from some of these YouTube lawyers that so many of us like. This guy was, just now I'm going back, I'm remembering it, like, should I give another example? But no, I shouldn't, because it makes me, the disrespect towards elderly people is wrong. We should look up to them. They have all the experience in the world that we don't have, and they've got a lot that they could teach us that can make our lives easier. So there should be deference to those people and give them the respect, that they have earned. Okay, so that one, let me go back to my final list back here. Hold on. Okay, so we ended up with 21 jurors left over that they'll start with on April the 3rd. They've got another round of potential jurors that will be coming in to question. Overall, they will have a jury pool of 110 will be the start of this. On April the 3rd, they are hoping to knock it down to a group of 75, and then the next day knock it down to 50, and kind of keep on going until they have their 12 jurors. Now, this is where things get a little confusing. We're getting different news reporters are reporting different things. Some are claiming that we will have 16 total jurors, that we'll have 12 jurors and 4 alternates. Now tonight, I'm running across 12 jurors and 6 alternates. I had originally said, I think 6 in terms of an alternate would be a bare minimum, considering an 8-week trial that could legit even go 9-10 weeks, depending on, what might happen. 4 is not, it's just 4 alternate jurors is not going to get it. That's not enough for this length of trial. Y'all saw what happened with the Murdoch trial. They ended up with only 1 leftover alternate, and it was just the skin of their teeth. I think if those deliberations had really run long, like a week or so, they could have lost their last alternate. So it's got to be a minimum of 6, I think. I just can't imagine doing an 8-week trial with 4 alternates. That's just in the day of, the era of COVID, and I just can't believe that they would do that. So I'm kind of veering toward, it's probably 12 jurors and 6 alternates. So we'll start with 110. The jury pool will be 110 potential jurors. April 3rd, they hope to have it down by 75, and then they'll work, in the couple of days after it and try to get down to their, let's go with 18 jurors. So 12 jurors, 6 alternates, and that's what we're looking at. If you were listening, let's see, the judge made a mistake. 47, juror number 47 is out. he had him listed on his juror list that made it through, but 47 got struck. So they have 21, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 21. So they have 21. Now, number 9, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my favorites. Number 9, she is a college student. She's working on a bachelor's degree, and she is taking a physics class. Well, I mean, she's got other classes too, but her physics class was a class that she was afraid she just could not miss. And so you might ask, well, why would that be on your list of favorites? Well, a couple of reasons. This defense attorney, immediately when it was his turn to start asking questions, he pulled out the names of the jurors who had small children. He questioned them individually. He began going through and saying, like, number 15, don't you have grandchildren? Aren't you caring for your grandchildren? How could you ever hope to take care of your grandchildren and be on this jury for 8 weeks? And then the next one, oh, I'm sorry, don't you have a child in school? How would you ever be able to be on this jury if you have a child in school? There was this one. I recognize number 65 that you have children and your husband's recently had heart surgery. Number 66, this was the short-term memory guy. So, immediately he begins calling out the ones that he's been able to ascertain through the prosecution's questions that had children and grandchildren. And he was very demeaning. He all but said, we don't want you on this jury. In fact, at one point he said, I quote, where was it? He said, oh, don't worry, we're sending you home. Now you can sit back and relax. I was trying to see who he was talking to when he said that. It was very hard to hear this, trust me. I don't see where I wrote it. I remember writing it down when he said it. At least they found Gannon. No, that's not the right. Number 34. Female can be fair. Oh, number 69. He says number 69. Oh, don't worry, we're sending you home. So he had he made it clear right off the bat, if people had school-age children or small children, grandchildren, he doesn't want them on this jury. You gotta think about this. Empathy. Now, there were many female jurors, potential jurors. Many are female, young females. Going by the sound of their voice or the description of what they do for a living, that kind of thing. If you are admitting that your client has brutally killed an 11-year-old child, not only killed him, but you your client stabbed him 18 times, also a fractured skull, as well as being shot by a firearm, you're having to admit, yes, my client did those things. But you can't hold her accountable because she's crazy. Are you really going to want people on your jury that when they go home at night, the first thing they're going to do is hug and kiss their little children? No, you're not. One of them has a little boy. I think they said he was like 10 or 11. You want her sitting on the jury knowing that Leticia is admitting to doing this, and then her go home and hug her own child, and then sit around and make a decision about the fate of, well, not the fate, but was Leticia crazy or not when she killed Gannon? No, you don't, but because of the parallel, because of the empathy factor. You don't want the jurors to be able to align with the victim. You don't want the jurors to be able to have empathy and have feelings that would parallel feelings for their own children, because that makes a mama bear really bearish. You know what I mean? So that was number one. I think he had in his mind right off the bat, I got to do whatever I can do to get these mothers or grandparents or, fathers, got to get them off the jury. We can't have that. And so it was pretty clear that they were going first. So why then do I have number 9, a college student who's worried about her physics class? Why did I put a half a star? Now, the biggest was 1 star. I got one person that's got 1 star, but a half a star for this college student. The reason is because she's so young that she would not have developed this maternal instinct, right? It would be against her age group. So she wouldn't have developed this maternal instinct. And if she's taken physics classes, then she's probably not, a wilting flower, right? She's probably a fairly alpha female. She's smart. She's probably pursuing a career that would be considered male dominant, perhaps, And so I just felt like all the way around, she might be a good one that the defense might want to keep. All right. Would I want her if I was on the prosecution team? Probably not. Probably not. I think if I was on the defense team, I might want to keep her for that reason, but not on the prosecution. And I think the prosecution team has a lot of really good choices in this jury pool that we saw today. I think they had some really good choices. They had some interesting conversations that were obviously people that were well educated. They did not struggle with the concept of, are you really deciding guilt or innocence, or are you deciding, is this person crazy or not? And number 28, he pretty well, hit the nail on the head in saying, well, hold on a minute. We're not really deciding guilt or innocence. This is really more about her mental health. So, and the defense tried to smooth that whole mental health conversation over, but he's exactly right. What he was, kind of putting together. He talked about the forensic evidence and what it allows people to do. He talked about the gathering of facts, not to determine an act of violence, but to determine, is the person crazy during the act of violence. He was contrasting evidentiary, let's see. Okay, he was contrasting the evidence that would say she committed the act as opposed to the determining level of responsibility. So he's very insightful. He's bright. He was engaged many times throughout the afternoon, and that's number 28, juror number 28. So he is a star. So he's one that I think has a likelihood of at least making it to the 110. He may make it to the jury. Let's see if I had another one. I think juror 49 really wants to be on the jury. I don't know if she'll make it there, but I think she wants it. I liked number 20. I think, let me check my list. Yeah. So 20 is interesting. He's a male. I believe that he's probably military. He talked about spending time overseas. No, he didn't talk about spending time overseas. His responses were always yes, sir, no, sir. So that was, and he sounds a little older, but he's still answering yes, sir, no, sir. And they did address that he had spent quite a bit of time overseas during that period of time when Gannon was killed. So he hasn't really been exposed to the story. And he never said he was military, but I just got that feeling that he probably had been is military or was military. So I think 20 is another one that had a star on my list. I had also, let's see. I already talked about number 28. He's got a star. And then number 56. Why did I like 56? Let me see. Number 56 is a female. Oh, yes. She was great because she doesn't like the defense attorney. So I automatically like her. She was asked questions specifically about the presumption of innocence and the fact that that is a standard that one must hold throughout the whole trial until they get it, for deliberations. And she had this discussion about the insanity defense. And so she stated her view of it and how she envisioned what not guilty by reason of insanity, how that would affect a jury that was in deliberation. And so then the defense attorney kind of interrupted her. He was abrupt, he was rude. And he did a lot of really fast talking, and he was sort of condescending. And when he got finished with all of these, words, talky, then she said, yeah, that's exactly what I said to you. So she was very salty, and she didn't let him kind of minimize her. She actually had spoken it in a quite eloquent way. It was eloquent, but it was a question trying to make sure that the way she was conceptualizing it was that accurate, or was she thinking about it incorrectly? And rather than him just saying, yes, that I think what you've said is accurate, instead it was almost misogynistic. It was almost it's almost like it offended him that she understood what they were being asked of as a jury. And so when he finished, she didn't interrupt him or anything, but when she finished, she said, yes, that's what I said to you. So I liked her. She's salty. So that was a good one. So I had her. That is number 56, juror 56. Number 54. I liked him. I didn't give him a star or anything, but I thought he had an interesting conversation. And then number 70. Why did I like number 70? So number 70 has a degree in psychology, although we don't know if she has a PhD or if she has a like a master's degree, or we don't know what level of training, but she has a degree in psychology. She spoke about the cultural background of her people, and she sounded very skeptical of the government in general. And she said that everyone deserves their day in court, and that a jury a jury trial is what makes a person a citizen. And so I wondered, as she was talking and talking about these cultural influences and such, I wondered if perhaps she's Native American, if that's where the cultural comments and statements and everything. But she was, interesting woman. She's well educated, and the whole psychology thing. So we like people that are like us. That's the human nature of the whole thing. This defense attorney quickly alienated number 28, which I thought that was very interesting, because 28, remember, 28 is the juror that has the first full star from me, that I feel like he has a very good chance of making it onto this jury. I think I think he'll make it. I do. And this was the guy. He's a male. He said he lived overseas during the time that this that Gannon was murdered, that he doesn't really know much about it. All of his answers were yes, sir, and no, sir. So it made me think perhaps he's military. And you could tell through his answers and the engagement, you could tell that once the defense attorney started talking, he didn't like the defense attorney. When his speech pattern changed from when he was speaking to the prosecutor. He was fairly direct and to the point, but very respectful, right? They had a conversation, but when the defense attorney questioned him, well, here's what I wrote. Defense attorney appears to be alienating number 28 with all of his BS. So, and I'm thinking that maybe 28, well, I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch and see, because I don't remember now. Okay, so that is, I think those are the ones that I really wanted to comment on. Oh, I was surprised. I had no idea that courthouses had daycare. Judge Warner called it court care, which I thought was cute. So they do apparently have daycare for people that have children. So that's nice, right? That's very interesting. There was some discussion about the latest mental health evaluation for the Wicked Witch herself. The report was supposed to have been turned in by March the 6th, which was like last Monday, I think, or two weeks ago, Monday. The state had asked that this report be excluded because the doctor didn't have the report turned in on time. So, of course, there was some arguing back and forth, and the judge said, okay, let's see if you can get it in by March the 16th. And so we don't know if it got turned in, but that was some history that, if anybody knows if the mental health expert got the report in, let us know. So, because I don't know. So there was a new deadline, March the 16th. And if they made it by March 16th, the judge is going to allow the mental health report. But if they didn't make it by the 16th, they didn't get it. So the 16th, would that have been Friday, I suppose? No, that would have been Thursday. So did anybody hear if they got in the report or not? I don't know. The judge believes it's going to take 2 weeks to go from 110 jurors to 12 jurors and 6 alternates. This jury is going to be, they are going to hear information from 150 witnesses. They believe that the presentation of evidence will start maybe April 3rd, maybe a little after. Opening statements will be 1 hour each side. And right now during jury selection, we only get audio, obviously, because they want to keep the privacy of the jurors. And if you had any trouble today, you were trying to do WebEx. Thank you, Karen. WebEx, but you couldn't get it to play, let me know and I'll help you so that you'll be able to access it, in the run up to this. I won't be live tomorrow. But Sleuth, what is it? Sleuth Mom? Hold on, let me look. Is it Sleuth? Where did we find it, critters? Who recorded today and had it listed? Let me see. I think it was Sleuth Mom. Let me make sure. Yes. So Sleuth Mom, I'm going to get the link for you. So Sleuth Mom is showing the jury selection. So here is the link. Tell her who sent you. Okay. All right, there you go. So I hope that you will go over and subscribe to her, and then you'll be able to go over there tomorrow and listen, and she'll do commentary. She's a researcher. She's a very interesting channel to listen to. She's got some Leticia Stauch content up, timelines and things like that, if I remember correctly. So go over there and get ready to, subscribe and do all that. And then you can listen tomorrow on her channel. Wednesday, I should be in a position. Well, I'll just say this. I'm having a little bit of a surgery. It's not a big deal. It's a little deal, but I don't anticipate that I'm going to be knocked out and sleeping all day. So I should be able to, my plan is that by around noon, I should have it up and running and we'll watch it together, if you want to. Okay. Oh, Crime Sleuth did as well. Big ups. All right. So let me get her link too. I didn't know that she was streaming it. Okay. So Crime Sleuth, and she's a friend of the channel. She always comes over to the channel. She's smart. She's a very good researcher. Oh no, I don't think she's streaming it. I don't see it. Autopsy findings, Alec Murda. No, she hadn't posted in like 3 weeks. I hope she's okay. Crime Sleuth, if you're okay, reach out, girl. Hope everything's okay. It looks like she's not posting right now. Now I'm going to be worried about her. All right. So anyway, so Sleuth Mom is, you got her link. She's awesome. It's good. Thank you, DB. Thank you so much. Yeah, she's a really good channel. Sleuth Mom's really good channel. I enjoy her content. If the mods can kind of just keep listing the link through the live, and let people know what that's for, and that'll help. Okay, so there's that. And someone asked earlier, and they said, but wait a minute, April the 3rd. Yes, you would be right. April the 3rd is also the first date of Lori Vallow's trial. So April the 3rd starts the Vallow process, not Chad Daybell. Judge Boyce finally decided to split the cases apart. I don't know why he waited so long. I don't know why Judge Boyce does anything that he does, but I think that he could learn an awful lot by checking out the judge for Gannon Stout, the Leticia Stauch trial. Yeah, Judge Boyce, you could do better, sir. This whole everything's a secret, everything's locked down. This is not going to be helpful. People are going to feel like there's secrets, and that doesn't help. It's better to shine a light. And here's another reason I think with the Lori Vallow case that this was a mistake to make it so secretive. I want you to think about Charles Vallow and Melanie Pulowski, Brandon Boudreaux. They lived in Houston, and they were both working for the same company. And this company, the members of this company, went into hiding when Charles was shot. And then Brandon Boudreaux had a threat against his life. They were terrified, and they were afraid of Lori. They were naming Lori. We are scared Lori is going to come for us. So that's how close this friendship group was for Charles Vallow. He's also Kay is his sister from St. Charles, Louisiana. And this is where he grew up. This is his family. This is his home. So from Louisiana to Texas, Lori Vallow was here. Her family, her parents were in Texas for many years. There are a lot of people that were friends and loved ones, family members of Charles Vallow and JJ and Ty Lee. These are their family members. The same is true in Arizona. The same exact thing is true. So I think Judge Boyce is showing he's very short-sighted not to consider that you have real victims in these communities that can't possibly take 10 weeks out of their lives, not to mention the cash, to move basically what would amount to moving to Idaho and live in Boise for 10 weeks while the trial's going on. I don't know if you guys remember during the Jodi Arias trial, same kind of thing happened. Travis Alexander was originally from California. His brothers and sisters were spread all over, and they ended up, his aunt, if I remember correctly, I think it was his aunt, and then all of his brothers and sisters and their spouses. They ended up renting a house in Arizona so that they could take turns and be there. This family did not miss not one day of the trial, but they lost their jobs. They went into debt. A couple of them ended up homeless, lost their houses. And there were those of us that were watching this trial, everybody was taking up collections and sending money and I remember we had a bunch of gift cards that got loaded up, like $100 gift cards that we sent for them to do things like buy food or buy airplane tickets back to their house in California. It was terrible. Judge Boyce, it was terrible. It was terrible. And the family of Charles Vallow, Colby Ryan, Kay and Larry, they don't, to have to come to Boise and live there for 2.5 months, you're bankrupting them. I don't quite understand why this judge is doing this in this day and age where it doesn't have to be done. if anything, he could have it, he could have it set up at like a local courthouse. Like look and see the hometown in Louisiana and get it set up so that Kay and Larry and their family members could attend and watch it. I mean, I'm sure that they want to be there actually in the courthouse. I get that. But what if something happens and one of them needs to be at home? Then at least they could still access the hearing or the trial. So I wish that they would have gone a bit further than the media arguing the case. This wasn't about our right to be entertained. And that's kind of what they argued, right? They kind of argued this right to be entertained. I think there could have been a case made that the family was not from Idaho, and the family, the victims of these murders, that these victims are entitled to see what happens in this trial. They're entitled to see that. I just think they could have made a better case. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it's pretty sad when you think about it. If I will tell you this, if God forbid, if I were to find myself in that situation that Colby Ryan's in, or Kay and Larry, I would have to completely quit my job for, take a leave of absence for 10 weeks, 2.5 months. That means no income. If you work like I work, there's no built up, I'm the boss. I work on contract. That's it. If I don't work, I don't bill the government and get my insurance money. So I would have zero income for 10 weeks on top of paying the money to either get a, B&B, Verbo, or rent a house, or what, hotel, or whatever it happened to be, and the flights to get there and back, the food. It would be financially, it would be devastating, right? So I wish that somebody could have made that case to the prosecution. Even if you could have made that case to the prosecution and had them argue for you, but they didn't. Even the prosecution is saying, oh yeah, we don't want cameras. No camera. We don't want anybody to know what we're doing here. Don't let anyone know what we're doing. It seems odd. Seems very odd. I don't know. But anyway, that being said, it is what it is, and we have to, get by the best we can. I am grateful that Nate Eaton will be there every day. So, if you don't know who he is, we need to try to get you hooked up with his paper and his Twitter and all that, because he'll be showing sketches of the courtroom. He will also, there will be audio at the end of the day each day. And so he'll be airing the audio of the proceedings, that was a big concession that Judge Boyce did. And I appreciate that, Judge Boyce. I'm not altogether unreasonable. But I do think, Judge Boyce, you should look around and look at the Murdaugh case. Everything went fine in the Murdaugh case, and that was a big deal. Everything was fine. People were very well behaved. There were no riots. There was nothing, everything was fine. So for one thing, Judge Boyce, I could argue this with this guy all day long. For one thing, Judge Boyce, you're talking about a trial that is 10 weeks. Most people don't have the attention span to get through opening arguments. That's the truth. Most people don't have the attention span to make it through opening arguments. If you do a webinar or WebEx, you're going to have a ton of people that are going to be there the first day, and then nothing. Very few people, only the people that are really committed to this, right? That's it. So, the argument could have been made, I think. So, thank you, Aldo Cat. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. It's nothing. It really should just be called procedure, I think. Okay. Let's see. Is that everything that I was going to talk about tonight? Well, we made the joke about the jury, the defense. What kind of jury would the defense seek? What would be a dream jury by the defense? And I said it would be a jury full of psychopaths. You don't want anyone that has empathy. You don't want anyone that is tender-hearted, right? You want somebody who can be really kind of cold to the trauma and the violence, and allow yourself to be misled, down that primrose path of mental illness, shall we say. All right. So I will read a few comments coming in to say hello. Welcome, Nancy Drew. Glad you are here. Yeah, definitely don't want anybody with children. 100%. Yep, I agree. That was one of the reasons why I thought it was, kind of, well, I guess not. Yeah, no, he didn't want the older gentleman on there no matter what. Because the older man was wise. He had seen it all, and men become very empathetic and warm and protective the older they get. Let's see. Sammy, hand purple blue piece, hand purple blue piece. I'm late, watching from the beginning. Thank you, Bebop. Welcome. You have to be able to not know the difference between right and wrong to be declared insane. Most cannot get off with that defense. It's a very high standard to meet, Diane. It's very, very difficult. Yeah, Sunflower Brown. I was very impressed with the whole child care and jury room. That is wonderful. I like that. Really like it. Jules gave a professional breakdown of the insanity defense during the last hour of this afternoon's live stream, in case you missed it. Thank you, DB, for telling people. Hello, Minchi. If they were truly insane, they would just plead guilty or walk into a police station. Okay, so that does bring up another point. So, Leticia, she doesn't want to attend. Okay, I'm going to say this right. She does not want to attend her trial. I know. She makes me crazy too. You're not the only one. All right. She doesn't want to attend her trial. And so the judge did issue an order that basically said, no, lady, you're not gonna like lay around in your jail cell all day while we're here working, doing your trial. You must, I was trying to look through my notes and find the order. I had the order. What did I do with it? You must attend every day of the trial, meaning you got to get up, you got to get dressed, you got to come to the courtroom, and then you can tell me, no, I don't want to attend today's court. And then at that point, she will be put into a room there at the courthouse where she will stay all day long. While court is in session, she will be in a little room by herself there in the courthouse where she will stay. And occasionally throughout the day, they will bring her into the courtroom. They will say, Leticia, would you like to attend your hearing or your trial? And she'll say, no, I don't. I trust my defense team. And she will be escorted back to, she'll be sent back to her little holding cell. Isn't that funny? It's so great. So I found the order. Let's see. This matter, it goes on, it says everything about who, what it is. And then it says, this matter is set to commence trial on March 20th, 2023. At times in the past, this defendant has chosen not to appear for court proceedings. The defendant must appear for each day of trial. If the defendant appears and chooses not to be present for trial, she will be held in a holding cell in the courthouse, and the court will have her brought to the courtroom at various times during the day to see if she has changed her mind regarding attending her trial. This will be the process each day the defendant chooses not to be present for her trial. The defendant must be transported to the courthouse every day on which trial is held. Pursuant to CRS 30-10-515, the court orders the El Paso County Sheriff's Office to use all force reasonably necessary to secure the presence of the defendant at the El Paso County Combined Courts for each day of her trial, so ordered this first day of March 2023. So there you have it. Judge getting tough on old Tish. Oh, Tishy. Tishy. Okay. So she can't play her little game. And that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. What do you make of this, people? Why is she doing this? Why is she refusing to attend the trial? Why doesn't she want to stay in the courtroom? I'm going to wait and read your comments. Why do you think Leticia Stauch is refusing to be in the courtroom? I have my thoughts. As if she can pick and choose much. Yeah, exactly, River Queen. Yeah, this judge is having none of it. This judge is so, I don't care, but you're not laying around in your cell all day reading books. If we got to be up at the courthouse working, you're going to be at the courthouse working. Oh, and it's important to say this too. She has elected to wear her prison stripes. She's gonna wear her striped orange outfit. I guarantee you her hair is going to be oily and gross. She's not going to wash her hair. She's not going to be wearing makeup. She's not going to make any attempt to look like a normal person. She wants to not tip her hand that she is sane. She doesn't want to face the music. She thinks it will get her a mistrial. Games. She doesn't want to sit in the room with the family, or she simply doesn't care. She cannot take accountability for herself because she is not insane and does not want to face the gruesome details of what she did. Attention-seeking, crazy person. Thank you, Diane Nolan. She knows her affect will be inappropriate and it will be damning to her, just like she would not face the camera. Exactly, River Queen. Yes. So I do think on one hand, there's this game element. She's trying to convince the world that she's a nut. And what she doesn't understand is we all know that she's a nut. You don't kill an 11-year-old boy and be normal. But that is not the standard for this insanity defense. The standard is basically, I'm just batshit crazy. I'm out of I don't know where I am. I don't know what time of day it is. And I don't know if I'm a horse or if I'm a chipmunk. That's basically what the standard is for not guilty by reason of insanity. It's an impossible standard to actually meet. She is far from that definition, either condition 1 or condition 2. She is far from it. Okay. Here's what I think. I think she's refusing this also because she cannot be confronted by Al in Landon. She cannot allow herself to be around these people. She knows what she did, and she doesn't care that she hurt a little boy, but she cares very much that people will look at her like she's a monster. That you think about the narcissist, right? That will be very hard for her, is people looking at her and thinking, you are a disgusting human being for what you did to that child. That's, I think, what she can't face. I think that's what she is afraid of. When she was interviewed locally, she didn't want to be on camera. The news crew ignored it. You know what, Sunflower? All I got to say is kudos to the news crew. They got some really damning audio when she was talking to Harley. I think that, you got to see the moving trailer that she had loaded up. That was interesting. And then the fact that she kept her back turned to the camera, very interesting. Why? Well, now we know she left and went to Florida and threw this suitcase out, right? So she didn't want her face out all over the news. She didn't want anybody being able to recognize her in another state. I'm guessing. That's just my guess. Yeah, I think it's shame avoidance. I don't think she's ashamed, though. I think her motivation, I think the motivation for killing Gannon, I mean, I think she was out of control. I think she had a temper tantrum for sure. But I think she wanted to hurt Al. I think she was stewing, right? Ruminating and building her anger up. She was, online and saying, I'm being used. He's using me. He's a horrible person. I've done everything for these kids. I'm a great person. I think it was just good old fashioned, I'm going to stick it to him. And this is the easiest way. This is the most effective way to hurt Al, is to get rid of Gannon. I believe that was her motivation. It was an assault. It was an attack on Al. And maybe it was an attack on Landon too. What was that she looked at? Something like Happy Mother's Day cards for stepmothers, or remember that? I'll have to go. She's absolutely bullying. Yeah, exactly, Nancy. Yeah, it was kind of like, well, if you're not going to love me, if you're not going to help me, take care of me, value me, then I'm going to, if you can't love me, you're taking your love away from me, then I'm going to take what you love away from you. Crazy like a fox, a murdering monstrous fox. Yeah. And please don't get me wrong. There's nothing normal about what she did. But a personality disorder is not insanity. Like I said, insanity is, waking up in the morning and trying to decide if you're a chipmunk or a butterfly. You're just completely out of touch with reality. There's no factual basis in your life. You're just existing in a fantastical world that has no resemblance to reality. Had they never found Gannon, the thought of his son being missing would have tormented Al, and that's what she was going for. Yeah, Kelly, it's devastating, isn't it? It's terrible, absolutely terrible. Yeah. Well, do we want to say out of it could be out of touch reality, or it could be that the brain is not functioning, that the thought processes are disrupted. Either they're not encoding memory, or they can't retrieve memory, or the memory is flawed by confabulation. It is a lack of reality, poor reality testing, whatever you want to call it. She didn't have any of that. She was delusional. I think she was clearly delusional. I think she was mean and aggressive and sadistic. I think she was narcissistic. I think she was jealous. But none of these things equate to a thought disorder. None of these equal insanity. Definitely vindictive. Definitely vindictive. And perhaps one might say passive aggressive. You may laugh about that and go, wow, Jules, you call it passive what she did to little Gannon? No, no, no. I don't think that was passive. I think it was the most violent, and I don't even want to think. I don't want to let my mind even consider what that child experienced. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about what she put him through. But when I say passive aggressive, I mean her true target was Al. She she really wanted to hurt Al. I think she would have been happy to have been able to stab Al and hit Al and shoot Al. I think that she would have been happy for that, right? But Al is capable of protecting himself physically. He's strong, he's big. He she could never get away with it with him. And so, she found a stand-in. She was able to act out onto Gannon what she really wanted to do to Al. What do y'all think about that idea? Right, Nancy. Oh, she's sadistic, River Queen. I believe that. Yeah. Yeah, I can't even let my mind go there, Nancy. It's too oh, oh, River Queen. I heard that, and I it's not, I can't listen to it. Not It makes me physically ill, because the tone in his voice, that baby was dying. He was sick. She had already harmed him. I think that's why she made the video. I think she was trying to prove, no, no, look, he's still alive. But it didn't. Ugh, it's horrible, horrible. So that was another part that was talked about in jury selection. Um, they were really questioning these potential jurors. Um, you're going to be looking at autopsy photographs of an 11-year-old little kid, and this was a very violent scene. And they were trying to say, are you sure you're going to be able to stomach that? Are you going to be able to handle it? Now, that was the defense. The prosecution was standing in defense. They were saying, no, people have the ability to be horrified and still be able to be reasonable and logical of thought. And I agree with the prosecution on that. But the defense, they were intentionally trying to run people off. Like, they were intentionally trying to get people to say, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. They don't want anybody on that jury that's got empathy. They don't want a tender-hearted people anywhere near that jury box. Do y'all agree or disagree? Yeah, so she chose a defenseless child. Exactly, Sunflower. She's a sadistic coward. Hey, Karen, welcome. I haven't seen you in a long time. It's good to see you. Yes, sadistic and cowardly. That's why she doesn't want to come sit in the courtroom during the trial. She's a coward. She's a coward. Oh yeah, she's a tough guy when it comes to an 11-year-old baby. But to actually stand up and let people know what she did, and I am hats off to this judge. He is amazing. Judge Boyce, you need to pay attention to what's going on in the Gannon Stauch case, because that judge is a great judge. Petty. I'm being petty. She couldn't make Al disappear like Gannon, crazy like a fox, and sadistic. Yep, I agree. Very handsome little boy. So handsome. Yes, beautiful. All right. Are we good? Okay. So that was my wrap up, and just kind of wanted to put out my thoughts about the jurors. I did it today too, but it was such a very long video, and a lot of people don't want to sit and listen for a couple of hours. Well, it was more than 2 hours. So this is a little bit easier to listen to, right? All right. So I think that puts, oh, wow. I just looked at the clock and it was 1:11:11. That sounds like a wrap to me. What do y'all think? Thank y'all so much for being here. You're awesome. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. How's that? I hope that you guys will go to Sleuth Mom's channel to listen to the hearing tomorrow. And you guys will have to inform me tomorrow night. Y'all have to teach me what I miss. Okay? All right. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much. Please share this on your social media. Try to get some love going on with YouTube. All right. Talk to you later. Sweet dreams tonight, people. Bye. No, kitty. No. Put that part. Stop. No. Come on, Sage. Come on, Sage. Oh, gosh. What was that? That was a weird look, wasn't it?